It was a tale of two halves for Sun Devils softball during their weekend at the Mary Nutter Classic, going 3-3 overall. Hello and welcome. This is the Blaze Sports Softball Roundup. I'm Jude Binkley, joined here by
Vanessa Venjohn,
Valentina Martinez,
and Claire Cornelius.
Let's get right into this weekend slate of games that happened. Once again, Sun Devil softball went 3-3. They're currently at 12-5 on the season. Today's polls, they were ranked number 17. So we're going to start off with Valentina. They started off 3-0, went pretty hot. What were the keys in those games?
Well, against Auburn, ASU had 11 RBIs, which says two things, that they can bring runners in and they can hit well with runners in scoring position. Against San Diego, they also totaled 13 hits, which says that they were seeing the ball well and that they were swinging their bats well. Finally, their third and final win of the weekend against New Mexico, they had 8 different home runs against, from 6 different Sun Devils, which says that they were just continuing to be an offensive threat. The Sun Devils owe a lot of their success to clutch hits and huge strikeouts, and they showed a lot of that in their first 3 games.
And pitching 2 shutouts, what were the keys to such a strong defensive performance?
Well, you have Cielo Meza, who's a veteran senior pitching for the team. She's strong, consistent. Samantha Mejia, also great on relief. And Lindsay Lopez, actually, is a freshman pitcher, came out and was able to preserve that 6th shutout of the season. So strong defense from the Sun Devils.
And coming off those strong first 3 games, I have my MVP of the week. This might be a little controversial, but I'm going to say it's shortstop Alina Torres. She had 7 hits, 6 RBIs, batted .407, and had 2 home runs over the weekend. I had a runner-up too with Maddie Hackbarth, who did have more RBIs, 6 coming in the game against San Diego, and including a grand slam, which was great. But I thought Alina Torres, with her consistency she's brought, especially as a freshman, stepping up big and replacing Jade Torres, who left the program at the beginning of the season.
Just 2 weeks before the season started, so that was...
So big shoes to fill, and she's really been able to do it. She currently leads the team with a whopping 7 home runs, so she's had a really strong start to the season, and that has not slowed down yet. What do you guys think about that?
I completely agree with you. I think Torres is just one of the many strong freshmen we have on the lineup for the Sun Devils. And yeah, she's leading that freshman class, and she's keeping up with Kendra Hackbarth, Maddie Hackbarth, swinging her bat as usual like it's nothing. She acts like she has a lot more experience than she would as a freshman, so I agree.
Is it consensus?
I agree with you on that, but I would have to say Maddie Hackbarth is my MVP. I mean, she was so strong offensively, even when they were losing. I mean, she was still swinging the bat, and she had a grand slam. She had several home runs this weekend. So, I mean, I'm going to have to go with Maddie Hackbarth.
I'm definitely going to have to agree with Jude and Valentina with Torres. You know, like you said, Jade, huge shoes to fill. She didn't just fill them, she overfilled them. She definitely went above and beyond. She's a machine, and I can't wait to see what she's going to do for the rest of the season.
Another big, strong thing to add on to her performance was also her fielding in such a critical position like shortstop. She was almost fielding 100%. She just had 1 error against San Diego, just really made up for just another great addition on top of the offensive firepower she's brought. That offensive firepower from the whole team didn't stay the whole time, as they did drop their last 3 games of the weekend on Saturday and Sunday. So Vanessa, how did that happen?
So they came out playing Florida, and the first 4 innings, both teams were quiet. And then the 5th inning rolled around, and Florida scored, and then ASU scored 1. So, I mean, ASU was staying in, and they had a good chance, but then Florida just scored 3 at the top of the 6th, and that was it. I mean, they ended up losing 4-1, so I just think defensively it was just a little bit of a problem there. And then against Notre Dame came out super strong on offense. They collected 2 runs in the first inning, and then 3 more in the 4th. So it was hard. Notre Dame came out strong, and they were prepared. So they just ended up losing 7-3. And then against Cal Fulton, pitcher Preston, 14 batters, she struck out 7 of them. So defensively, I think she was on point, but Cal Fulton just came out stronger later in the game and ended up scoring.
So do you think this weaker performance that we've seen in the season, do you think that's more because of their batting, or do you think there's been a lull in the pitching these past 3 games?
No, I definitely think the pitching has been strong. I mean, they've had to do pitching swaps and stuff throughout the game, but I definitely think their pitching is strong. Offensively, I think all of them just haven't been clicking, because some of them have been stronger than others, and some of them have been hitting more than others. So I just think coming up, they just need to get together on the offense, and they'll be a good team.
Well, it definitely was a roller coaster over the weekend with both ups and downs. I'm going to pass it to Claire. What did we see more from the squad, ups or downs?
I would say downs, but of course, you can definitely argue that ASU is a really great softball team. They just hit a rough patch this weekend. It was their first tournament away from Tempe. They're a young team. It's expected. They're going to make mistakes. But I definitely think that they have the opportunity to redeem themselves next weekend. And the fact that they beat number 10 Kentucky earlier in the season, not once but twice, and the second game went to 11 innings, so that really shows their resilience and stamina, and I think that's going to carry them throughout the season.
And who do you think one key player is going to be for the Sun Devil squad moving forward?
Definitely Alina Torres. It seems like she's guiding the young team as a freshman, and she's just going to have to keep up her work and lead those young freshmen.
And the Sun Devils will return to Tempe this weekend for the Sun Devil Classic. They'll have a game against Southern Utah as well as 2 games against Maryland and Wisconsin. Maryland's currently 5-8 on the season. A pretty moderate opponent for the Sun Devils. Wisconsin currently 8-6. They have a great pitching rotation, though. They held UCLA, the number 1 team in the Pac-12, to 3 runs in a 1-3 loss in the Marinetta Classic over the weekend. They also played Pac-12 rival for the Sun Devils, Washington. They did lose 3-5, but really they have a strong defense. And then they're coming off of a huge 4-3 win over Oklahoma, who, of course, they won the softball championship last year. So that'll be huge. Southern Utah, on the other hand, is 1-8. They did take down Pac-12 opponent or Pac-12 rival for the Sun Devils, Oregon State. So really anything can happen. I think it will be a good set of games to kind of put them back on track after what ultimately was a disappointing performance. But I want to pass it now to Vanessa. What can we expect next from the Sun Devil team?
I mean, the Sun Devils are playing home after this 3-loss tournament. It's the Sun Devil Classic tournament, so I think that should give them a little boost. It'll be kind of tough, but I definitely think they'll come up on top, especially if their offense comes together and they all come out strong, and then their defense just needs to stay where it is. But I definitely think that they're going to come out on top, especially playing Southern Utah. I mean, they don't have the best record, so I definitely think that the Sun Devils will come up on top.
And Valentina, what do you see for the Sun Devil team in the future?
I think what we hope and what we want is that the Sun Devils come this weekend strong and in full force. They definitely secure their spot as a quote-unquote good team if they're able to bounce back from 3 consecutive losses. So I'm hoping that in this doubleheader on Friday, they really show their dominance against Wisconsin and Maryland.
And same question for Claire.
Yeah, and I totally agree with Vanessa and Valentina. I just think that the 3 losses will hopefully have a chip on their shoulder. They'll want to come back fighting. And they do have a 9-2 winning home record, so being home, it's always great. Yep.
I think this will be a very nice weekend to help get the Sun Devils back on track after what was a disappointing weekend. Trisha Ford's pitching rotation seems very sound right now. Ciela Meza has established herself as this team's ace, playing increasingly better after transferring from Long Beach State. Madison Preston has really stepped up being a reliever earlier in the season and now being able to start and pitch shutouts. And then Samantha Mejia, has also established herself as a very well-rounded pitcher and has played really well as a reliever. And this team has competed really well against the top dogs, even in the Florida game, which was very close. Of course, beating Northwestern and sweeping the Wildcats last weekend. As the great Tommy Lasorda says, even the great teams lose 1/3 of their games. And while that might not be exactly true in college softball, I think it's a good reminder that this team isn't invincible, but no team is. So that's going to wrap up this edition of the Blaze Sports Softball Roundup. I'm Jude Binkley, once again with
Vanessa Venjohn.
Valentina Martinez.
And Claire Cornelius.
We'll see you next week.